Dun, 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 dun. I think we need a theme song. Oh, that'd be such a good question. All right. I'm going to wait till folks get in here. If you're here, welcome. Happy Tuesday, May 24th, 7:01 p.m. on the East Coast. This is Community Conversations with Ethan. And as always, please say hello. Let us know you're here. Let us know where you're from. But I think I have a good question tonight. It's not a favorite question, but I think it's a good question. Hey, Deirdre. Hi, Ethan from Tired. I am so tired. I'm going to be honest. I'm tired. That's why I'm wearing a t-shirt and I'm just showing up as I am. Hopefully that's okay. If you're just joining us, please say hi in the chat. And then I have, hey, Carol. Hi, Carol and Jenna. Awesome. And Dave and Caitlin. All right, I have a question for you all. So I was thinking just now, and Skyla and I have been talking about this, that, you know, I think, whoa, cat fight. That was crazy. Hi, Debbie in Ohio. This is actually more entertaining than anything I have to say right now. Hi, Valencia. Good to see you. Hey, Beth. Yeah, I don't know that I can compete with this. Nope, Monty's going to sleep. Okay, never mind. It just got boring. Hey, Caitlin, how are you? All right, super quick question, then we'll get started, which is, if I had an opening theme song, what should it be? So when it's showing the graphic and maybe like a lead-in theme song, what would you pick? Feel free to put that in the chat as long as they're saying hello, and we can go ahead and just throw some ideas out while I am reading the housekeeping. Hey, Valerie Andrews, good to see your face, or your name. There you go. Thank you. All right. So while we're getting that, let's get to some quick housekeeping. So my name is Ethan. I'm a national advocate for the International OCD Foundation. And I apologize. I actually have pink eye. I've never had pink eye. It's new for me, but pink is a good color. So we'll make it work. We'll muddle through. Hey, Eric, good to see you. So this community conversation is intended to serve as educational content. It is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. International IOCDF Foundation is not a crisis hotline and should not be used if you're in distress or feel unsafe. If you're in crisis or you're ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room, call 911 or call the suicide prevention hotline at 800-273-8255. We are the champions. I like it. Unforgettable. That unforgettable. It's a little slow, no, Val? OCD Warriors. I like that. Hey, Summer from Texas. If you're just joining us, welcome. We were throwing out the question, if I had an opening theme song, what should it be? So feel free to say hello and weigh in on your suggestion for an opening theme song. Valerie, if you record it, I will make it it's got to be the Valerie rendition, but that's very sweet. I just put two and two together. Thank you, Valerie. As always, we want to be kind and respectful of everyone in here. This is a two-way conversation, so keep in mind that it's being recorded on all social platforms, but we always want to be supportive and create as safe a space as possible. With all of that, how is everyone doing tonight? Hi, Nikki Bradley in Dublin. How are you? It's good to see you. How is everyone doing? How's everyone's couple of weeks been? What's the latest? Manchester, UK, of course. Yes, Rachel, how are you? Hi, Betsy. Ooh, 007. I like it. I dig. Yeah. Dun 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 dun. And maybe I slide in. You know, maybe it's like a whole dun 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 dun. No, that didn't work. It's hard to slide on carpet. All right. So enough shenanigans, but keep them going. If you have ideas, maybe we can Rocky, good idea. We can throw them out in the chat. So people are weighing in. I saw Eric. Yeah, Eric wrote feeling a little overwhelmed, but otherwise okay. I think I'm feeling a little overwhelmed too, Eric. I think Caitlin wrote struggling. Caitlin, how are you struggling? In what way? How can we support you? Hey, Michael Schramm in the house. Excited to see you in July. Saddened by the current news. Yeah, I actually been in a meeting tunnel this entire time and just saw what happened. So it's awful. And, yes, thoughts and prayers, but more action would be lovely. But yeah, it's terrible. Thank you, Val, for bringing that up. We can definitely give lots of love to those families. 6-day weekend. I love that, Autumn. Heck yeah. Caitlin, I wish my obsessive thoughts would dissipate completely. I think that's a valid wish, Caitlin. Can we talk on this a second? Is that okay? And please feel, yes, Eric. Yeah, you are in Houston for sure. And I was born in Houston, so it's definitely a sad day. Caitlin, let's talk on this, but also please continue to weigh in and let me know how you're feeling. I have some stuff I want to talk about, but as always, this is about you. Would you mind, Skyla, putting that up at 7:06 p.m.? Caitlin, hopefully you don't mind. I wish my obsessive thoughts would dissipate completely. So I'd like to talk on this a second because this is important. I think we all wish our obsessive thoughts would dissipate completely and disappear. And I see your follow-up. I can't stop compulsing. I totally relate to that. And I'm sure everyone else does as well. So obviously, if our obsessive thoughts just disappeared, then, we wouldn't compulse. I'd like to propose a reframe on this statement, which is, I think it's completely valid to want it to disappear. I remember suffering and struggling at my worst. I would have killed, not literally, but I would have killed to have my thoughts and compulsions just disappear. I wanted that silver bullet, and I just wanted to switch into somebody's shoes and just somebody else's shoes and just, I think that in dealing with and coexisting with OCD requires a bit of a reframe. I think it's completely valid and wishing your thoughts and compulsions would go away. I think we have to shift our thinking to this idea of we don't have to like them. We don't have to be friends with them. But we can try to be okay with them. Not okay with the compulsing, not okay with the time spent not following values and things that are important to you, but okay with this idea that they're there. I think the more that we wish they were gone, the more that they appear, right? It's this, don't think of the pink elephant kind of thing that I'm talking about. With therapy and exposure and response prevention and this overall approach, we sort of embrace this idea. We embrace this idea that these obsessions are going to pop up at some time, whether they haven't popped up in a while or it's every day. We kind of might expect them to, and then how are we going to respond to them in a way that's healthy and effective? And I appreciate the detail, Caitlin. 34 battling since I was 16. I relate to that too, for sure. I was diagnosed at 14 and, I was born with it. And so I remember struggling most of my life, but yeah, I wasn't properly treated till 31. But you just made a great comment, which is they make me annoyed and uncomfortable. But I would pose the question, can we live with being annoyed and uncomfortable? And I recognize that I'm sure they are far more painful and uncomfortable than just saying they're annoying and comfortable, right? But it's this idea that the more we are afraid of the monster, the bigger the monster gets. The less afraid we are of the monster making appearance, the less scary the monster is. So kind of this first step to approaching treatment and therapy is this idea of embracing the discomfort, embracing the idea that these obsessions and these compulsions may pop up, right? The obsessions, especially, and the feelings associated with them. We don't necessarily have control over those things, and that's okay. And, can we get to a place where we can become accepting of that fact? We do not have to accept the compulsions. We don't have to accept how we respond or behave. But can we accept perhaps how our brain is behaving and what we're going to do about it? And essentially, what happens is the more we don't wish we didn't have them and rather bring them on because I can deal with them, the more we kind of take on that OCD warrior approach, the less intense the thoughts get, the less meaning and power they hold over us as individuals with OCD, and the better we can fight them in an effort to not have them at all, and be in a state of remission for as long as possible until they pop up again, and then you deal with it again. So it's almost like playing reverse psychology on your OCD, just saying, yeah, bring it, welcome, come on, thoughts, let's see there, and then, oh, I see you, I'm gonna wave at you and let you float by and sit with the discomfort. And I mean, I always, you guys that have been seeing me speak for years, I always say, like, just sit with the discomfort. And I always feel like an ass for saying it like that, because it's never that easy. I obviously humbly say that because it's really difficult to do. But you know, it's this idea of being willing to be scared and be uncomfortable in an effort to get better. Um, yeah, Caitlin, and I want to. Caitlin at 7-Eleven wrote, I just want quality of life. I fail ERP. It's so debilitating. I have compulsion, guilty feelings, feel guilty. I engage in them. I get that. I totally get that. And I can tell you from personal experience that I felt the same. I felt like I was failing ERP. And because everything I did wasn't working. And I was watching other people around me get better with ERP, but I wasn't. And I wondered why I was different, or why my OCD was different, or was I that much sicker than everybody else, or was I just, that much worse, or just not capable of doing it. I want to say something very clear, and I hope you all hear me, which is we are not failing anyone, especially ourselves. We have a disease and a disorder. We have not chosen this. I don't like the word fail, especially in context of OCD. I have hung out and been working with a lot of brilliant scientists of late, and they say some really reaffirming things, like, if anything, science is failing you, science is failing us, treatment is failing us. We need to do better to find better ways to treat OCD more effectively. So I want you to get that fail ERP out of your head, and perhaps think a little bit differently about it. But with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't approach ERP in a productive way. And there's lots of ways to do that. And I want to get to some other thoughts and some other questions, and we can definitely talk about ways to embrace ERP, so it isn't so debilitating. Because I know for me, I would do one exposure and be a puddle on the floor, crying like a 4-year-old for the rest of the day. So totally relate, totally get it. But I am here, and you can be too. And so let's continue the conversation, Caitlin, and let's see what other people have to say. But I'll give out my email at the end of the stream. And if you want to talk about it and continue the conversation, I'd be more than happy to. Rachel Binney at 712, as you know, Ethan, I've been following the IOCDF webcast and conference for a while now. I know I've had OCD since I was about 11 and began to manage it, but I'm now realizing that actually it still haunts me, but in ways that I can portion the blame elsewhere, e.g. feeling a lump in my neck, having to get blood tests and scanned to rule out, despite the fact my doc said not to worry. That's very common, OCD morphs and shifts and changes, and you can track it in different ways. And so that makes total sense, and I definitely relate to health anxiety as well, Rachel. As I spoke about in April about my own issues that were valid, but I definitely had brought up some health anxiety for me, and other ways. So yeah, it can manifest in other ways, a lot like addiction, right? You can get one addiction under control, and maybe you start eating more or drinking more if it was alcohol, or self-soothing in some maladaptive way. And so that's very, very common. But I love that you realize that you have the awareness and the insight. And then the question then becomes, what can you do about that? Can you maybe sit with the discomfort of the lump, or sit with the fact that the doc said something? So I will tell you that, the doctor, when I was in my tongue, wanted me to get an MRI. I don't even know if I updated everyone on what happened, but he wanted me to get an MRI. Excuse me. And I was really hesitant to do it because part of my compulsions way back was I was getting multiple CAT scans. And so imaging of my brain is really scary and is a bit of a dark hole. And so I wanted to make sure it was medically necessary before I did that, because it would have been all kinds of triggering for a variety of reasons. And I absolutely would have done it, if necessary. Consulted another neurologist who said his opinion was that doctor was covering his ass based on the fact that my symptom had gone away and some other things, and didn't think at this time an MRI was necessary. So I said, great. But, of course, I wanted certainty. And as much as I didn't want an MRI, I did want an MRI because I wanted to know for certain that it's not a tumor, which is what they were looking for. And, I made a choice that I was choosing my mental health over, I wasn't choosing my mental health over my physical health. I was choosing my mental health over the probability of something being potentially wrong based on some really highly qualified individuals that were listening to what I was saying. But I can tell you that, for first few weeks, I wanted that certainty. Oh, I wanted that certainty. I wanted to know for certain that there wasn't something. But over time, that desire for that certainty has faded. And I don't know. I care way less about that now. Also, when you think about what you have control over, it's like I could get certainty that I don't have a tumor and then walk outside and get hit by a bus or get some other illness. Like, what really do we have certainty over? So, the mentality is, here's the information I have right now. It's not an issue. Doctors weighed in. I'm going to let it be. And if it comes back for any reason, then obviously I would definitely go get the scan. But, I'm glad that we can kind of live in the gray with some things. It's not easy, but it's definitely important. I also, I don't know, you may be enjoying this, but I feel like I'm lower energy tonight and kind of quiet and focused. I mean, again, maybe this is a good thing. I'm like, wow, Ethan's really, really quiet today, but I'm actually exhausted. So I apologize if I'm not running around in a circle and making crazy jokes. But thank you all for being here for sure. And please keep the questions coming. We'll continue to talk and share and support. Eric wrote, I feel similar to Caitlin, but my obsession and compulsions are all over the place and hard to pin down. It could be a combo with ADHD. Eric, I'm going to call you out on this because we've been social media and trivia friends for so long. Yes, they are all over the place, but we also know that ERP, the content around it doesn't really matter. And so, and so I understand it can feel hard to pin down, but this idea, I'd be curious, Eric, if you're trying to get really specific to the fact that you're getting perfect, you perfectly understand what it could be. And you're right, it could be a combination of a co-occurring condition, which can definitely make things more complicated. But I would also say, whatever the fear is, whatever the concern is, throw it into the ERP Mad Lib and see what happens. Because, at the end of the day, content is content. And, it's all about embracing the uncertainty. And but thank you for connecting with Caitlin on that. And thanks for sharing as always. Lee, I cannot find a provider who does ERP and takes my Medicare Advantage plan insurance. I cannot afford NoCD either. Medications have not helped. I have a therapist helping with my BPD using DBT and ACT, but I wish I could access ERP. Don't know what to do. That's a really hard situation, Lee, and I'm so sorry for that. I don't know. When's the last time you tried NoCD? I don't know if you've tried recently. I know they take a variety of insurances. I don't know if they take Medicare or Medicare Advantage, but it is worth the ask because I knew they do. I know out of pocket, their prices have gone up, but I know that they take most insurances now. So some other options are a few things. One is there's an amazing book called Freedom from OCD. It's Dr. John Grayson. Skyla, if you can maybe grab that and find a link. It's an amazing, if you will, Bible for helping working with yourself to help overcome OCD. The other thing, Lee, and I know that this sucks because the last thing you feel like doing is fighting harder for yourself, but are there therapists in your area that work on a sliding scale? Are there therapists that might perhaps work with you on a payment plan or scholarship. I hate that we have to advocate for ourselves, especially around getting treatment for OCD. It should be as simple as pulling up a doctor on your plan and they know how to treat it. And it's just not that case right now. And we are working, very hard to make it so everyone can access treatment that's effective and affordable and available in your area. So Lee, I'm definitely, and this goes for anyone, and anyone who's emailed me knows this. Well, feel free to email me and we can strategize potentially how to help you access ERP and treatment in some way, and whether it's a sliding scale or a scholarship, or you can also check out kimquinlancbtschool.com, which is a series of courses and stuff like that. It's a fraction of the cost. I don't know what it costs, but it's way less than a therapist. Her modules are brilliant and amazing. You can also follow her. I'll plug her at Your Anxiety Toolkit on Instagram. It's Kimberly Quinlan. She's a OCD advocate, an amazing advocate, and a brilliant therapist. So I'll give out my email at the end, and we can continue the conversation, Lee, and hopefully we can help you, find some solutions. I also want to apologize. I am way behind on my emails. Oh my gosh. Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you, Skyla. Kim Quinlan is on the Lunch and Learn tomorrow with Liz and Chris. So awesome. So Lee, if you want to check out the Lunch and Learn at 12 p.m. Eastern, if you're available tomorrow, Kim will be there. But I'll also email your information about CBT School. Thank you so much, Skyla, for the reminder. And I just saw somebody mentioning the resource directory at the IOCDF. So yeah, we have a great resource directory where you can go in and enter your zip code and help find treatment and therapy in your area. But the last thing you want to do when you're feeling crappy is have to fight for treatment. But definitely don't hesitate to advocate for yourself and see what you can do. Mike wrote, I just split up with my partner of 12 years who has OCD. I was so close to getting her to get help. She feels like she has failed and is now self-medicating. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Mike. That's an awful situation. And I know I know that you probably have a myriad of emotions going through your mind right now, and feelings, and I don't know. If you're on speaking terms, and I'm sure you need to do you need to do what's healthiest for you in this situation. Which depending on what you may not be speaking to your partner, you may be speaking to your partner, whatever. But there may be things that we can send her, or articles, or videos, or anything that may be able to help her want to seek treatment. But it sounds like you were doing everything that you could to help, and at the end of the day, that person has to want to seek help themselves, as and it's sometimes hard, but at a certain point we can't save someone unless they want to be, so I'm so sorry, Mike, for that. And the most important thing for you to know, and of course I don't know your situation is you are not responsible. It's her decision ultimately and her choice. And I'm sure she was lucky and is lucky to have you in her life in some way. And I wish you the best, Mike. And if there's anything we can do to support moving forward, please leave a comment for sure. Grace is in the house. Any advice for someone who has been 7:17 p.m. Skyla, sorry. Any advice for someone who has been to a higher level of treatment in the past and is now facing possibly needing to go back to treatment? My treatment team is recommending I go back to a higher level of treatment, i.e. PHP or residential, and I'm experiencing a lot of denial and guilt about having to face the reality that I might need to go back to treatment, i.e. felt a lot of pressure to be perfectly fine when I come back from past treatments. Grace, would you feel guilty if your cancer came back and you would have to go back to chemo or insert disease, right? I think it is really we tend to self-stigmatize so much when it comes to accessing treatment around OCD and other mental illness. And especially well, I've done that. I'm better. There's choices to be made. And all of that. Oh, I see Mike continue to comment. Sorry. But Grace, like, this is the process of OCD, and there's absolutely zero shame in going back to partial hospitalization or residential. You know, that short-term investment is worth long-term. And if anything, like, think about what you're going back with, the knowledge, the skills, the tools. Think about, let's reframe this. What can you go and do with the insight that you already have? Think of the progress that you could potentially make with the kind of support that is there. If anything, this is an amazing opportunity for you to take a month or two, right? And get some significant gains, and maybe learn some new things where will give you more long lasting, but there's nothing. This is a disorder and a disease. And, myself, Liz McInville, we talk about this all the time. Like, if we needed to go back, we go back. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't feel the stigma too. Okay. I'm not, because I probably would, but you go back, you embrace it, you crush it, and you come out better for it. So if that's what they're suggesting, flip it, reframe it. You got a lot more information and knowledge than you probably had the first time around. So what can you do this time? Yes, health anxiety is awful. Oh, Mike, I appreciate you showing her my channel. Thank you. Oh, Belinda, thank you. I appreciate that. Grace wrote at 7:18 p.m. Have you made an ERP hierarchy list with your provider? I was not doing well with ERP when I first started, and it was mostly because I was starting with exposure that was very high in regards to the SUD. I think that's in response to our friend that talked about failing ERP. Grace, you're proving my point. You know things. So if you indeed have to go back, like, you can do your own treatment plan, right? I'll bet you can. So take all this brilliance and go crush OCD and put it in its place. Eric wrote to my response, thanks, Ethan. That's true. I think part of the problem is that I was misdiagnosed with something else years ago, and I have to keep reminding myself that it's OCD and not that other issue. Yeah, it's tricky. I can tell you that when I was diagnosed with bipolar in 2018, every time I got excited, I was like, oh my God, it's mania. I was very, like, kind of also over-examined every iteration to make sure that it was or it wasn't, or, and so forth and so on. So I totally relate to that. But yeah, it's important to recognize. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, when I said content is content is content is content, simply put, thoughts are thoughts are thoughts, right? All thoughts are the same. Meaning a thought is a thought. I don't mean the actual substance of the thought is the same. But the reality is that regardless of your subtype or symptom, the reason ERP works is because, or ERP is the treatment that you apply first, is that it's all about embracing the uncertainty. And I'm a visual person, so I always saw ERP as a reverse Mad Lib. So you remember the Mad Libs: enter verb, noun, adjective, adverb, and it'd come out really funny. Basically, for me, ERP is like a Mad Lib where the entire thing is all the ERP instructions, and then somewhere in there's a blank and it says symptom, and you just plug in your symptom. And that's the beautiful thing about treatment for OCD, is that once you have that foundation, you can really apply it to any symptom and subtype you're dealing with. So what's interesting is that when you go to a therapist for the first time, and Grace mentioned hierarchy, and you're working at the top of your hierarchy. So you're dealing with, hit and run OCD. I'm afraid that I hit a bump. What if it was a person? What if I hit someone? I'm going to go back around and check, right? So you get that under control with ERP. You come home, and 3 months later, it morphs into something else. What if I accidentally hurt my wife? Well, in that moment, a lot of times you'll think, well, oh my gosh, I just got over this hit and run OCD. What about this new violent, intrusive thought OCD? And in reality, it's all the same. It's all OCD, right? It's all OCD. So in no way invalidating or minimizing any of the specific subtypes or symptoms and all the stigmas, some less, some more, that come with all of the subtypes and symptoms. But regardless, it's still all OCD. And so really, when you go for therapy and you work on one of your symptoms and subtypes, you're not working on that specific subtype. You're learning how to treat OCD. And they're just using what you come in with as a means to teach you ERP, which is pretty neat. So hopefully they're explaining that to you so you know when you leave, you can go, I can face anything. You know, easier said than done, I understand. But at the end of the day, that's sort of the beauty of ERP is you can apply it to, and so it's just like, there's always random X factors and variables, but like, kind of a mainstay for cancer treatment is chemotherapy. Now there's all kinds of nuanced, different amounts, different types, but it's all chemotherapy. And it's kind of the same idea. It's all OCD. Now therapists are going to shift it and tweak it and change it depending on what your subtype and symptom is, what the exposure should be, but it's still all ERP. And it's because it's still OCD. It's still, regardless of the kind of cancer, it's still cancer. So regardless of the type of OCD or the subtype of symptom, it's still OCD. So when you hear me say things like thoughts or thoughts or thoughts, the symptoms are important. Somehow I came out with a New York accent when I got tired. The symptoms and subtypes are important. This will be fun to watch back. Are important in building a treatment plan to treat it. But beyond that, look at OCD as a giant tornado. OCD is a giant tornado, and it goes across the Kansas farm, and it sucks up a cow, and it sucks up a farm, and it sucks up Dorothy, and that's all the content. It's still the OCD tornado, and the content comes in and out of it. But at the end of the day, it's all the same spin. Excuse me. I'm sorry you had a terrible experience at your OCD clinic, Caitlin, and can't afford OCD treatment that doesn't take Medicaid. Access to care is unfortunate, and we're working real hard to make a difference with that. And as Lee wrote, look more into sliding scales. That's awesome. Caitlin, we continue to have a conversation about how we can help you access care. So thank you for that, and I'm sorry. Yeah, Eric wrote NoCD is a good online option too. NoCD again takes most insurance companies. They have gotten more expensive out of pocket. I think they're 173 now, which is still, under most therapists that charge. I think the average is 250 now, which is insane. But they do accept a lot of insurance. They're adding new insurances every day. They also treat worldwide English speaking. So if you're out of the country, if you know someone out of the country, they will work with you as long as you're English speaking anywhere in the world, which is pretty cool. So, it's not a perfect fix yet, but we're working hard to make sure that everyone has access and can afford it. That's everything. And that is true. So Patricia wrote, Rogers takes insurance, but not sure if they have found a format that is not intensive program and just seeing a therapist. So the hospital systems usually do take insurance, but to Patricia's point, whether it's McLean or Rogers, it's residential or partial hospitalization. So they're usually intensive programs or residential. And I also don't know. I know a few random therapists in random places that do take insurance that treat OCD. And now that I think about it, it'd be really cool to have Sky. It'd be really cool to, I don't know how big it would be, but to be able to filter the resource directory by accepts insurance. And it would be a small amount, but it would still be really helpful to know who treating OCD around the country does take insurance. Or does have openings that take insurance, because I think that would be really helpful, and maybe we can work on helping people know which those therapists are, because I don't know all the therapists that take insurance. Reggie wrote, what a religious OCD, it is tormenting me, I'm on meds and afraid to think. Reggie, can you elaborate a little bit on what you mean by religious OCD? I'm assuming religious scrupulosity. I don't know if you're praying or afraid of right and wrong or heaven or hell. And I'm sorry you're suffering so much. If you want to elaborate a little bit, perhaps I can give you some insight. Pauline, Liverpool, baby. Home of the Beatles. Thank you, Pauline. I appreciate that. And thank you, Mike. Mike wrote, there is no such thing as untreatable. Remember that. And that is absolutely true. I lost my place. And hopefully science is catching up. I'm working with some folks that are working on a new medication for OCD that is in a phase 3 trial. I'm working with some schools that are working on some new TMS studies, transcranial magnetic stimulation. How come I can say that, but I can't say, what was the word? Whatever the word I couldn't say. So, science needs to catch up, and research needs to continue, because there hasn't been a new drug in 27 years. And that's a sad state of affairs. The fact that this company is researching OCD and dumping tens of millions of dollars into this drug, whether it works or not, hopefully shows, big companies that this illness, this disorder, A, is way underdiagnosed, B, affects way more people than the statistics show, and C, needs to be researched far more and far quicker, so we can have much more effective treatments. Outside of the meds that we have, outside of ERP, you want every tool that you can get, and that's hopefully our goal. Lee, at 7:25 p.m. I don't know if you have the time. Get the time on your end. But Tiffany wrote some advice, which is awesome. Thank you, Tiffany, for providing that. Appreciate it. Adam Bloom at 7:27 p.m. wrote, my OCD has recently been latching on more to cleanliness. How can I tell when something like my apartment needs to be clean versus when my OCD wants it to be clean? What a great question. And this will apply to pretty much anyone's OCD. So this is a great question, because a lot of times we ask ourselves what's OCD and what isn't OCD. I think in your case, you're trying to determine whether you're doing something value driven or not, right? So the value driven act is, do you want to clean your apartment because it's dirty? You're having guests over, just doesn't feel good. You feel better when it's a clean apartment. And is it a value driven Adam decision, or are you choosing to clean it because of anxiety, a fear, a not just right feeling, some sort of discomfort that you're unwilling to live with, right? So this idea of ego dystonic against our values and ego syntonic, right, toward our values, we can apply that same methodology to apartment cleaning. So when you clean your apartment, in that moment, are you cleaning it to get rid of a feeling? Are you cleaning it to get rid of a thought? Are you cleaning it because you can't stand it the way it is and you have to clean it or make it different or improve it before you leave? Are you going to be worrying or thinking about it the entire day, and you're just not willing to do that? Things like that are most likely OCD, right? Now, of course, I clean something because it doesn't feel good. It feels dirty, or it feels, I like a clean place. It feels, I work better in a cleaner environment. And I don't mean like scrubbing clean. I mean, just freshened up and straight and tidy, right? But if it's not, I can still do it, right? So this idea of asking yourself, why are you cleaning? Why are you cleaning your apartment? Is it a value Adam driven decision, right? Is it because I love a neat place? I feel good about that. I'm proud of my apartment. I'm proud of the things that I own, and I want it to look good. Also, how much time are you cleaning? Because OCD is never satisfied. So if you clean it and you're like, you spent 20 minutes cleaning stuff up and getting things organized, and maybe it's been 2 or 3 weeks since you cleaned your bathroom, so you decide to clean it, and then you feel good, it's probably Adam, right? If you do all that and it's just not clean enough, and you got to go back and do some things over again, and then maybe a little bit more, that's OCD. Because again, OCD is rarely satisfied. So hopefully those are some skills and tools that you can take with you. And as you start to make cleaning decisions around, ask yourself why you're cleaning. Is it for a value driven decision, or is it for OCD? And hopefully that will give you some barometers to help you make your decisions. But thank you. Great question. Beth wrote, there is definitely a stigma associated with being in a facility. It's not fair. If a person was in a hospital for medical problems, nobody would say anything. But if someone gets into a mental hospital, people don't look at it the same way. That's true. That's absolutely true. That's why I talk about my time in a mental hospital, locked psychiatric unit versus, an OCD hospital, which isn't locked, but still you say, I'm at still in a mental hospital. Um, but the first thing I want to say is fuck them. So I don't drop the F bomb often in my live streams, but you know, it's about wellness. This is about getting to where you need to be and living a full life. Um, it's also no one's business. I choose to share it because I hope that it helps folks. You don't have to, and trust me, I didn't share it when I was there or shortly after I was there. Um, but you're absolutely correct, and that's a great comparison. But we're working hard to make sure that stigma reduces around mental hospitals. And I also think, obviously the history of mental hospitals is like horrible, even 50s, the 60s, like just putting everybody there and the way they were treated and the stigma around all of that stuff. Like, but you know what? I think with the 1300s and the crude things they did, to treat medical ailments. But I agree. There's a stigma associated with it. But it's not a reason not to do it. And I also don't think that you have to share it if you don't want to. It's a very personal decision. And Grace's situation, if this is something she needs to do for herself, then you should absolutely do it. It's no one's business what you're doing except the people that you feel comfortable telling. And you went before, you got better. There's a good reason to. But yeah, I don't think we should ever deny that there is a stigma. We need to work toward it. So thank you for Beth for that, for sure. Jack wrote, I have religious OCD too, had it for years. I was unable to stop it, but right now I managed to reduce it by at least 50% by ignoring it and thinking it's not me, thinking like that. It's just OCD. I like that. And that's what it is. It's just OCD, right? And when it's just OCD, thoughts aren't facts. Thoughts are not facts. So, we can sit there and go, sure, but and that's not easy to do, Jack. That's one part of that's a piece of treatment. And sometimes that's not using treatment at all. But it's this idea of recognizing that it doesn't mean anything. A thought is a thought, and a thought, an OCD thought is no different than, I said this a few weeks ago, like I'm a banana. That's all it is. It's a thought, and it's really hard to embrace that fact, especially OCD can be so convincing. But when you can recognize that it's OCD and pinpoint it, and just say like, yep, that's nice. I'm going to go do my thing. That's good. I like it. Hi, Leanne. It's good to see you. Oh, today's opening question was, what would be a good theme song, an opening theme song to this live stream? Pick anything you want. Mike wrote, one of the hardest things to do when I started heavy ERP was getting to the mindset of now you're going to put yourself first. Yeah, you got to put on your oxygen mask first, just like an airplane. And it's hard to do that. Individuals with OCD are some of the most selfless, smartest, creative people I know. And, but it's all about putting yourself first in an effort to, regain the health that you want so you can in turn be there for other folks. And you can't do that if you don't have your mental health. So well said, Mike. Mike always comes in with the quotes. I like that. We should be a book of Sizemore quotes. Debbie wrote, I spent 2 weeks in the hospital back in 1993. I was absolutely scared to death, but it was such a great experience. Wish I would have done it sooner. So much lost time. So yeah, I mean, there's stigma, but clearly this was good for you, Debbie, and I love that. If I look back at all my experiences led me to here. So I don't have a whole lot of regret. I don't blame myself for the things that I do or did. I don't blame my parents for the choices that they made. We're only as educated as we only know what we know. And what we don't know, we don't know. I know it's brilliant. It's brilliant. Write it down, chisel it into stone. But all our paths led us here, and all we can do is make choices moving forward. And so, let's just move. Let's just take where we are and move forward with decisions that are healthy and that are value driven. And it took me a long time to come to terms with where I am today. I got better and felt like I had to catch up. Like, oh my God, I missed my teens. I missed my 20s. I moved out to Los Angeles. Everybody out there was 18. I was 32. I was trying to act. So were they, except they were young, and I had missed all this time, and I had been off the face of the earth for a year and a half, getting better. And I spent like literally 8 years trying to catch up. Got to meet somebody, got to date, got to fall in love, got to get married, got to earn money now, super quick, lots of money, like where I'd be in my 30s. I put ungodly pressure on myself to achieve things that may or may not have been realistic, because let's be honest, you don't need OCD to struggle in life. Life is freaking hard. And I think we all do a lot of comparison, especially since social media, where we all look at somebody and go, oh, yeah, they're doing that. I'm engaged now, as many of you know, and, I'm 44, and I'm the last one in my family to get engaged by like a gazillion years. I should say the last cousin in my family of all of my cousins that are around the same age. But I'm the last one to get engaged by a gazillion years. They're all married. They all have kids. And I can't tell you, when I got better, how many times I would get together with them and feel like such a black sheep. It was so hard to spend time with them. And I know they loved me, and I know they accepted me for who I was. But for me, it was just a constant reminder of what had happened and where I was now and how far behind I was and how I may or may not ever have that. And, the longer things got with life, as I got later into my 30s and hit 40 and hadn't achieved the things that I thought I was going to achieve, especially once OCD wasn't in the way, that was a whole level of failure I thought was failure that I wasn't ready to face. And, that was sort of my bipolar diagnosis in 2018, where I really hit a significant wall, because I didn't know how to deal with feeling like I failed life, right? Before, I always had OCD to blame. And now that OCD wasn't interfering with my functioning as much, well, I didn't have anything to blame. So I pretty much decided that, well, this is Ethan. Like, I can't say, oh, I didn't do it because it was OCD. Like, I tried and I didn't accomplish what I wanted to. So that means that I'm not smart enough. I'm not talented enough. I'm not good enough. And FML, right? And, I took some steps backwards. I thought they were backwards at the time, but really they were steps forward, in a sense that, I took a step back and I removed myself from some toxic situations, including Los Angeles. I moved out of LA. And I don't talk too much about this. I'm not hiding it. It's not really overly relevant to OCD, but I think it's overly relevant to life, which is, I took a step back, I worked with my therapist, and I determined what was healthiest for me. And I moved home with my parents. I had filed for bankruptcy. I don't think I've ever said that on a live stream, but whatever. I'm tired. I don't care. This is real. This is real life. So, I filed for bankruptcy. And I was living in an untenable situation in the apartment, my neighbor above me, and I didn't have a choice but to move home. And to talk about feeling humiliated, I wasn't ready to leave LA. I still had stuff to do. And, but you know what? It was obviously the best decision I ever made. And in retrospect, it was hardly a step back. It was a gazillion steps forward. I removed myself out of sort of the swamp. I was able to get a bird's eye view of my life and sort of make choices. It was all about, like, I got to take care of myself, and all my decisions were made in conjunction with my support system. And remember, if you know my story, I went from like being unwilling to leave my parents. So was it healthy to move back in? Well, after talking with them and talking with my therapist and psychiatrist, yeah, at that time, it was the best decision. And in that time, in that period of self-reflection, and I was working a ton at the time, and I needed a place to work. I suddenly realized that I needed to stop chasing who I thought I should be, or where I thought I should be, and start embracing who I was now and what I can do moving forward. And it wasn't easy to do that, but the minute I did that, everything fell into place. Like, everything fell into place. My business life fell into place. My personal life fell into place. I met Katie. I got an even better relationship with my family and friends, and it was really just required me having self-compassion for what I had been through, letting go of where I thought I should be and who I thought I should be, and embracing who I was. And that doesn't mean that I couldn't be better moving forward. That was always the goal, to improve, but we're all doing life for the first time. So the minute I started giving myself that self-compassion, learning about self-compassion, and just embracing the where I am now, is that was a big game changer for me. And maybe, there's a lesson in that for you as well. So thank you for letting me share that. Real quick, I'm just going to skip to the bottom just to see if there's any thoughts on all of that. Well, my mom commented. Thank you, Mom. My mom wrote at 7:50, I tell people that Ethan went into a hospital several times because I was, and I'm so proud of his strength to fight OCD and get better and learn all the treatments. The more we talk openly about residential, the more society learns that it is very tough. It is very real. Be open and proud of yourself for wanting a full life, and do whatever it takes to make that happen. It's a process, as Ethan says. Life throws you curveballs, but that makes you stronger. Never give up. Beautifully said, Mom. Beautifully said. Let me scroll back up real quick. Oh, of course it didn't mark where I was. Curses. Let me quickly, we're running out of time here. Let me see if I can just grab some questions that I haven't answered yet from some folks that I haven't answered yet. And also, I'm seeing all these amazing shares, so thank you so much for sharing. Great question. Janine at 737 wrote, Ethan, has TMS been approved today as a treatment? Yes. So there's a specific type of TMS by brainwaves that has been FDA approved. The research that they're doing now is on more targeted TMS treatment. So being able to pinpoint specific locations in the brain, as well as rapid TMS. So right now it's multiple times a day over the course of 6 weeks. They're looking at now being able to do it multiple times a day for no more than 5 days. So, and they're also tying different types of magnetic stimulation. What they're currently studying is theta burst. Now, mind you, I don't have a clue what that means, but I like to say it because it makes me sound ridiculously intelligent. All to say, there has been some positive research to come out of the trials that they've done on TMS. I personally have heard mixed results from different people, but then again, I've heard mixed results on therapists as well. So, take it with a grain of salt. But there is approved treatment for TMS for OCD. You can definitely find some information on that on the interwebs. But great question, thank you. Blasphemy is my hobby. That is, if you have a religious group, that's your war cry, Leanne. Leanne wrote, I often wonder that about cleanliness. When are hands clean? When are things clean? Is it when OCD lets you go? Definitely not. It's when you decide. When OCD lets you go, it never lets you go because it's never happy. During COVID, OCD was never satisfied. For those that have health anxiety or concern, OCD was never satisfied with 20 seconds. It had to be 25. It had to be 30. Oh, wait, did I get under my nails or the tips of my fingers? Let me go back, do it again, another 20 seconds. We don't wait for OCD to let it go, because if we do, it's not going to let it go. We do the best we can to determine what the amount of time is, whether it's hand cleaning or otherwise. We do it, and then we sit with whatever discomfort we have. And, sometimes, and Adam, on your apartment question, sometimes also, I don't know how open you are, but asking, somebody, how long does it take to clean your apartment? Sometimes getting a baseline from an individual that doesn't have OCD is helpful, because then you have sort of a time frame where is healthy. You can aim for that. And whether that's showers or prayer or cleaning or doctor's appointments, or I don't have a lot of insight when I have some medical stuff, just because my history with OCD. I really defer to my therapist and some friends now. I still make my own decisions. Nobody tells me what to do, but I'm kind of like, so is this a thing that I should rush to the doctor for, or should I like give this 10 days? And they'll tell me. And most of the time it's give it 10 days because, I'm asking 4 minutes after this thing came on. But getting insight from people that don't have OCD in terms of just getting a marker to choose can be really, really helpful. Time for one more question. Let's see here. Where are we? I'm looking for question marks, but let's see here. Yes. Great, Grace. Thank you for the assist on the and the definitions. I appreciate that. Let's see here. George Harrison, give me love. I like that because isn't peace of mind our goal? Yeah, I'm down. I'm down with that. That's a great. Oh, Caitlin had TMS. I did a study. Yes, but I had side effects. And it can headaches, dizziness. I don't know what you experience. You do it every day for 9 months. I don't see many more questions. I might have to go back and read a comment or two. Let's see here. Well said, Grace. You're continuing to prove my point that if you and if therapist, if your team thinks you should go back, like go back and just do your shit and come back and be like, I did it in half the time because I've been there and I knew what to do. And this time I wasn't as scared because I know it works, or I was more scared, but I embraced it. And the food was worse this time. Grace wrote at 749, intrusive thought equals ego dystonic, the thought that does not align with you and your values, morals, beliefs. And it's something that brings you a lot of distress, anxiety because of how it clashes with you and your values. Also the opposite of, and she probably wrote ego syntonic. Did I say that? Now I'm second guessing. I'm like, crap, did I say ego dystonic was toward our values? Either way, Grace, I don't want to claim that I'm brilliant, even though I know about theta burst. But yeah, don't be afraid to go back because I think you'll crush it for sure. As always, thank you so much for continuing to advocate for everyone on the stream. There's so many good comments and questions and insights, and thank you. You are way better advocates than I am, and there's so much good stuff here. I love this live stream because I don't want to brag, but we always get more comments than the other live streams. Not that we're in competition, but I will say that y'all are incredible, and so thank you for advocating. Oh my, okay. Skyla's always got Skyla's like eyes in the sky. She's like Big Brother, but for our live stream. So Grace wrote about the whole intro song for the live streams. I'm not a professional collegiate music major by any means, but I compose music frequently. Be down to maybe compose something and send it into the IOCDF. Okay, Grace, like I'm totally down for that. So for sure, email me and let's have more conversation on that because I would be honored for you to write my intro song or really anything else you want to write, and maybe we can use it. So that would be awesome. Thank you. All right, let's wrap this up. Thank you all so much for being awesome and engaged and willing to tell your stories and share and give advice. I can't tell you for some of the folks that are here regularly what it means to the newer folks. So thank you. As always, I want to thank the IOCDF and of course, Skyla, my partner in crime behind the scenes, the Robin to my Howard. It's a weird reference, but anyway. Oh yeah, Dorothy, I think it's always okay to email Ethan. He usually gives his address at the end. Yeah, I'll give you my email at the end for sure. So thank you, Skyla, for being behind the scenes. Okay, real quick, tomorrow, you can join Dr. Liz McInvale and Chris Tronson for a brand new Lunch and Learn on the topic of orthorexia. Special guest Kim Quinlan. You can submit questions and suggestions for future live stream topics at iocdf.org/peace of mind. Also, registration is open. I keep hitting this home, but registration is open for this 27th annual OCD conference. It's taking place in Denver. Early bird registration rates end Tuesday, May 31st. So you have a week to register and get the discount. It's an amazing conference. If you don't know about it or haven't been, It's a phenomenal 3-day experience, access to some of the greatest minds in the OCD community, doctors, clinicians, researchers, and most importantly, just an incredible OCD community where we support and love each other and are there to, it's just amazing. It really is. There's nothing like the in-person conference. If you're able to attend, visit the link and check it out. Oh, Eric, I look forward to seeing you, man. Finally, join us for 1 Million Steps for OCD Walk this June and October. You can find a walk near you and register today at iocdf.org/walk for a day of community, advocacy, and fun. It is live. It is live. Now, I will tell you that we're also having a virtual conference again in November. I'm not 100% sure. It'll be on the conference site. But this is it live. It's July 8th through the 10th in Denver. And it is in person. And we're really glad it is. So, yeah. Definitely check it out on the website. Finally, as you know, this live stream is one of many. You can see the entire schedule and submit questions and suggestions for future live streams at iocdf.org/peace of mind. And you can also view recordings of past live streams on IOCDF's YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/IOCDF. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notified when live streams are scheduled. You can do that on Facebook, UCD. That's new. I'll explain what UCD is. Tune in 2 weeks to learn what UCD is. YouTube and Twitch. Yes. And finally, if you need resources, you can always visit the IOCDF at iocdf.org. Finally, that moment you've been waiting for, my email address. Please don't hesitate to email me at justethan@iocdf.org. I answer this. I only answer this. No one else sees it. It's private. It's personal. I don't know that it's HIPAA compliant because it's just Gmail, but it does go directly to me. I am behind on my emails, so give me a minute, I promise, but I will get back to you. Things that we talked about, comments, questions, suggestions. You don't agree with anything that I said, it's a safe space for you to air whatever it is you want to air, and I look forward to talking with you. With all of that being said, thank you for being awesome. This community conversation is continuing to grow and be something that I'm so proud of and so honored to continue to talk with you all. You really make it what it is. And so I'm really excited for that. We will see you. I always get confused because sometimes it repeats on the Monday. I mean, on the new month, pardon me a moment. Yes, I was right. There is another there is another live stream. Do I have that right, Skyla? There's another one next week at 7 p.m. I always say every 2 weeks, but when the month shifts, sometimes we have to do it. Yes. Okay. Learning things. Next week, 7 p.m., another community conversation. Take advantage of the May to June shift. So, and thank you, Beth. Maybe I'll do that. I like the Gmail HIPAA compliant idea. I'm also not a professional and I'm not a clinician, so I always want to make that clear. But regardless, your emails are safe with me for sure. With that, yes, next week, 1 week, 7 p.m. Tuesday, I will see you there. Oh yeah, because it's Memorial Day. No, maybe, I don't know, Eric. We'll just roll with it. Thank you so much. So have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Feel the feels. Stay vigilant. Don't let OCD off the hook. We'll see you 1 week from tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. Love you guys. See you later. Good night.